So now that we can open our minds to the fact that every single emotion is important and that we have to appreciate every single emotion, I think that it is now that you go outside of the happiness is the ultimate goal of my life, and you start to see everything as it is, and you start to give the value to every single emotion that it deserves, because every single emotion deserves to have a value. It is here for something. Then you're going to say, well, if happiness is not the purpose of life, then what should I do? It means I should only suffer, and I should then look for those minuscule amount of moments that will give me that emotion that I prefer the most. And I do not think like this either when it comes to this part of the equation, let's say. I think that we as a species, we need to focus more on teaching young people what suffering is here for and how to transform suffering into something positive with the power of the mind. It is possible to transform suffering into something positive. Of course, violence and if you're being like, let's say if we go back to slavery, if you're a slave and you're being hit by other people physically, it's extremely hard to change that kind of physical pain that's coming from an external source into something positive, directly contacting your nerve, and your nerves are directly sending messages to your brain that something negative is going on. Of course, you're not going to be able to focus on changing that into something positive, but I'm not talking about the kind of physical pain, because in a sense also going to the gym, of course, is physical pain, but it's easier to be transformed into something positive because you have this sense of growth. You know you're growing, and you know you're pushing towards having a healthier and stronger body. But if I'm talking a lot more about emotional pain and psychological pain, teaching people how to transform psychological and emotional pain to something positive and suffering is really, really important. Most of us think that suffering is something negative. We want to avoid it every single time. I don't want to avoid suffering, psychological suffering. No, I look for it. I get myself into positions that will make me experience psychological suffering. And I do not do it in a sense of trying to make my life, try to look for problems that have no sense, but I do it by searching difficult paths, doing difficult decisions that are going to cause me stress and psychological pain. And then I use the power of the mind to transform the pain and the psychological stress into something positive, because pain and suffering have lessons behind. If you look carefully into every single situation that you experience psychological and emotional pain, you can transform it into something positive. My girlfriend left me. She cheated on me with my best friend, which is something that happened to me. Well, you can transform it into something positive. Now you understand that your best friend was not your best friend, so you can take outside of your life one person that was clearly not thinking in what was best for you, and you can also get outside of your life a girlfriend that in the long term will have caused more harm, because in the long term maybe you could have felt more in love with her, and the more love you felt, the more pain you will have felt when she cheated on you. So automatically transform into something positive. I look into it. I look into every single situation that gives me psychological pain and emotional pain, and I transform it into something positive. I look for the lessons behind, and looking for the lesson behind has made me extremely wise and extremely strong. It doesn't mean that I will never suffer again. It doesn't mean that I will never cry again. It doesn't mean that I will never get upset again. What it means is that even if that happens, I will look for the positive behind, and I will learn and I will grow stronger, which